July's theme is EQ, emotional quotient, i.e. emotional intelligence. This is something that not everybody has learned, and it really is an acquired skill. So when I was younger, I operated with a not very high EQ, and so I would get trapped in the same cycles of thinking, being lovesick for people who really didn't have investment in my heart or trust or healthy relationships. So it was a little off, right? Like the logic didn't make sense of why I was so connected to these people or attached to them after we'd broken up or they walked away or whatever it was. So that's a sign of it. I couldn't manage my anger. I didn't know how to not project that and put that on other people. I also didn't have a very high capacity to hear other people's pain or struggle or just life experience. If it wasn't like positive and feeding me in some way, I had very low capacity for that. These are all signs of having a lower EQ. There's a lot. I mean, it feeds into every aspect. Not having self-esteem at work, not being motivated. So confidence or the ability to use your voice and speak up instead of being walked all over or conversation trapped. Being in an abusive relationship will annihilate your emotional intelligence output and the way you're able to grow there. So there's just like an array of what this will look like when you're lacking emotional intelligence, but I guarantee you feel it almost every single day because it's the stress, it's the dealing with it's the constant anxiety and not having the skills to manage in a healthy, sustainable way. So you always just feel like you're just trying to tread water and not go under. That's kind of how lacking emotional intelligence feels. So when I started this personal development like track of mind, it was about 8 years ago, and little by little I was just like gathering tools here and there, and like hardcore on the roller coaster of it the last couple years. And here is what I know about emotional intelligence. I'm going to read these definitions, and this is kind of covering what it is, why it's important, how you get it, and things like that. And then through these videos this month, I'm going to keep talking about different aspects of it and what it looks like, and kind of breaking down all the defining terms of EQ and emotional intelligence. So here's the official definition. This is the definition of emotional intelligence. The ability to have deep awareness of your own emotions and the emotions of others, and use this information to guide your thinking and actions. Okay, so this means you're able to sift through when somebody else is coming at you with their that charged energy, or so they're either very excited and you're like, whoa, and it's too overwhelming, or they're angry and you're like, ah, or they're sad and you're like, yeesh. Okay, so there's whatever anybody else is coming at you with. If you have a higher EQ, sorry, you will be able to manage these, right? So they hit this EQ filter, and then you begin to sift through it. And what you do is, this is all part of the conscious lifestyle, okay? But what you do is you are able to say, okay, here's what's mine in this, and here's what's theirs. And you're able to separate that and not take on their feelings and their own experience. You're able to witness and let them have their own, while you are able to be supportive and sit with them in the moment. And also you can, even if somebody, like if it's in a partnership or like a parent-child thing, a relationship, then you can kind of work through, I'm getting reactive now. Now I'm reacting to theirs, and I'm going to choose to share my truth or speak about this later, and here's why. I'm going to listen to them right now, let them have their whole process, things like that. When we're operating at a lower EQ, or we just don't have the skills that we need to engage at a deeper level of intimacy and connection, this will cause a lot of anxiety and shutdown, and people will get reactive back, and they'll match that emotion, or they will completely avoid it and run away from it. There's lots of different ways we respond when we're needing new tools, okay? So here, I'm just gonna break this down really quickly, and then that's gonna be it for today. But these are the 5 elements of emotional intelligence. So this is kind of the what it is. It is having self-awareness, which is the ability to understand your effect on others, play to your strengths, and admit your weaknesses. Okay, so it's just a basic self-awareness. You kind of see how you are in the world. And when I didn't have this, I needed other people to tell me what I was like. I used to be so curious about people's experience of me. I'm like, oh, what, and then what's it like when I'm like that? Or how would I respond to that? Or what do you think? Because I didn't know it for myself, okay? I wasn't operating in a very high EQ. The second element is self-management, being able to control your impulses and avoid acting rashly. So that's what I call the space between. That space between the stimulus, whatever happened, somebody else's reaction, or you got an email, or there was a text, or a lack of text, or whatever. So whatever triggered you and your response to it. That space between, sometimes split second, you got nothing, you just react. That is operating at a lower EQ or lower intelligence, emotional intelligence. Again, this is something that comes with practice, and you can literally train yourself how to grow that space between. Meditation is probably the best way to do that, and because it's just a clearing of the mind, and everything comes slower to you, and so you're able to like kind of, oh, I'm gonna put that over here. Oh, I see what they're doing there, and it just makes life so much calmer. Okay, the third element of emotional intelligence is motivation, having the innate passion to challenge yourself and remain optimistic when the going gets tough. So this is just that inner ambition. You don't need an outside circumstance or person or motivation to keep you moving towards your dreams and going towards your goals. Now, this doesn't mean you won't have encouraging people or in your corner or support system or help or anything like that. Like, I mean, a large part of what I do as a coach is I help people stay motivated to achieve their goals, right? So that's a little bit different than having this just a lack of ambition. Like there's no drive to try something different or go for something more. Okay, so that's more what this is talking about. Okay, the fourth element is empathy. And that's not just listening to those around you, but trying to understand their point of view. So it's kind of you imagining yourself in their situation or from their perspective. And that's just such a beautiful skill to acquire and practice when you're craving connection and deeper intimacy with people. And then the last one is social communication, the ability to manage relationships and productively express your emotions. This is one of the elements that I see lacking in our society at an astounding rate. Just basic social communication. I mean, we see people looking at us all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. And there's like no affect, right? So that's one side that I'm like, yikes, our society is getting really skewed. But the other is just basic, I see you and I hear what you're saying, and here's what I think I can do about that. Or I hear your need is this, is that correct? Like just basic active listening skills and things like that. and being able to process at the same time your emotions. Again, that goes back to that self-awareness of this is what's mine and this is what's theirs, and here's where my power is, and here's how much space I have to give and invite people in. So that social communication factor is going to affect every area of your life. Actually, all of these will. It'll affect your personal life, your professional life, and how you move in your career and in your family. So that is what we're going to be talking about this month. Those 5 pieces of emotional intelligence, and I'm going to give you tools as we break down each one of those and kind of define some of the self-care terminology and all the things that I talk about. So that's what we got going in July. I hope that you will invite your friends to watch this video and be a part of this as we are transitioning in and out of all the things that COVID is doing to our society. There's a lot of uncertainty, so practicing these things and acquiring these skills is going to help create that stability right here, so that the more crazy that goes on around, you can still have a solid sense of self and peace and security when there really just isn't any externally. So let's all promote mental wellness and emotional health and spread the word. All right. Thanks, guys.